आधी आपापले मोबाईल फोन फ्लाईट मोडवर वापरून ठेवावे. नाही तर जो फोन करतोय त्याला प्रवचन ऐकावं. डॉक्टर निलेश नीलकंठ यांचं सहर्ष स्वागत. आणि त्यांच्याबद्दल थोड्याफार 4 ओळीमध्ये अंजली वैष्णव त्या सांगतील. तोपर्यंत मी त्यांना दीप प्रज्वलन करायची विनंती करतो.
Today we are privileged to have amongst us Dr. Nilesh Nilkanth as our speaker. He is distinguished alumnus of Institute of Chemical Technology, previously known as UDCT. He has done his MS from Alberta, Canada, and he has also done Executive MBA from Atlanta, USA. He hails from Konkan, where he studied until 10th standard. His special interests are in astronomy, archaeology, geology, philosophy, genetics, quantum physics, and most importantly, our very own ancient narratives. He has gained popularity as podcaster, keynote speaker, and TED talker. His lectures about rich Indian culture and heritage are inspiring to many youths of our country and abroad. He is an Indic researcher and has worked extensively on dating Indian scriptures like Vedas, Ramayana and Mahabharata. He relates chronological events in epics with astronomical evidences, with logical arguments and analysis, and with the help of modern scientific tools, he proves with supreme conviction and firm assertion that these epics are not mere mythology, but it is our glorious history. His study and mastery over Sanskrit has helped him to decipher the shlokas of our ancient literature. Deep diving into ocean of unknown and relentlessly doing extensive research for 30 years, he has published 3 revolutionary books, namely Dating of Mahabharata, Ram Ravan Yuddha, and Bhishma Nirvana. These books are beautiful amalgamation of ancient wisdom and modern knowledge. His work is just commendable and phenomenal. So this was his brief introduction, and we all are eager to listen to his mind-boggling theories of dating the epics and how he unfolds science behind it. So fasten your seatbelts as we all are traveling back in time. Thank you.
Dating of the epics. Ignore the date. Not bad. This is the presentation I gave in Tamil Nadu, okay, last year, near Coimbatore. And quickly, sorry, I will just turn it. Oh, you're taking my video. Okay, I'll turn a little bit. I don't need to always. How do we know that the narrations of Ramayana and Mahabharata are indeed history. The reason I say this is many times what happens, people come to this, like when did the Mahabharata war happen, when did Ramayana happen, and somewhere that person entire 1 hour, whatever time I am talking, afterwards in the question answer session, the person will say, you know what, that's all okay, I saw it, but my real question is, did it really happen? And I'm not saying it is a bad question, I say no, it's a great question, but you came to the wrong lecture. Okay, because here we have some things we have to take it for granted. The reason is, if every time you have to start with some such nitty-gritty questions, or just to give you a metaphor, in an Indian context, every time you have to start from a Manu and a Shatarupa. You know who they are? Like from Manu, we are Manav. So every time you have to start from Manu or Shatarupa, or in the Western context, every time you have to start from Adam and Eve, then we cannot expect to make progress any more than what they made. So it will just stop there. Okay, so we are going to assume this. Then other question is, okay, fine. So Mahabharata happened 7,500 years ago, Ramayana happened 14,000 years ago, our Indian civilization is 70,000 years old, but so what? Let's focus on today's problem and a future problem, and why should we bother? Okay, so I'm saying I'm putting those questions to rest in the sense we are not going to discuss it. I'm going to give a brief answer that yes, they happened. Take it on the Shraddha right now, because then only you will understand when did it happen. The second question, what are the benefits of knowing the history? Many of you would know it, but if in case somebody is not, or just for something that you can use as an answer with others. How many of you have heard the name George Orwell? Okay, this is one of the famous quotes, a great guy. He says, if you want to make some particular society, some particular country, a group of people, turn them into slaves, turn them into such a group that you can manipulate whichever the hell way you want, all you have to do is to destroy their own understanding of their history. British did it. They did a great job with India. To the extent, even when you think you are free from that baggage, you are not, even I am not. Many of the things that we easily talk, for example, in the question answer session, when that comes, I will say, look, this is from the British understanding of it. They taught to us and we still have internalized it. Okay? Okay, and what are the benefits of researching between different civilizations? I mean, question answer session we will look at it, but here I am not going to talk about it. Quickly, by the way, my name is Nilesh Nilkanth. Quickly, if I have to summarize like 35 years of my research, it is on this slide. Okay, so I started somewhere around 87, but that was like there was no focus as to what exactly I am researching in Indian civilization. How many of you have heard the name? The answer is yes, by the way. Lokmanya Tilak. So I started with Lokmanya Tilak's Orion and Antique Home in the Vedas. Okay, that sort of fascinated me in 1987, my undergraduate years. And then the work that I am showing you, it began in 1994. So Mahabharata. So what you see in the horizontal case is the axis of time. In fact, as a simple rule, most of the graphs I am going to show you, the x-axis is axis of time. Okay, because we are talking about Kala. So that 0 or today is 21st century, now 2025, etc. 0 is like the beginning of a Gregorian/Julian calendar, Jesus Christ and whatnot. But we are a secular country. So we are not going to use the term BC, like before Christ, or we are not going to use the term AD, Anno Domini. We are going to say before Common Era, BCE and CE. Okay? So the Mahabharata text, anyone knows how big is a Mahabharata text? 100,000 short, like 1 lakhs. In that particular big text, there are about 300 astronomy descriptions. If you go to Ramayana, like Ramayana means only Valmiki Ramayana if you are looking at history. Valmiki Ramayana is much smaller. You can try it off also. You need it? No. Yeah, it's for that. If you look at Valmiki Ramayana, only 24,000 verses, much smaller than Mahabharata, has close to 600 astronomy observations. Khabul Shastra. Khabul Shastri, Shastriya thing. Now, just like as a child or even otherwise, we have solved jigsaw puzzles, like the country, the India's thing, and the individual states, we put it together. Different types of jigsaw puzzles, like picture puzzles, we put it together. How many of you solved the crossword puzzles? How many of you have at least done it? Crossword puzzles? Imagine a combination of a jigsaw puzzle, which means geographically you have to look at things as a space, and imagine crossword puzzle, which means you have to take the clues and try to make a sense of it, look for a word that will fit into the constraints, and you will think of solving a jigsaw puzzle, crossword puzzle together. That's what getting to the date of Mahabharata, getting to date of Ramayana. So there are 300 clues in Mahabharata, 600 clues in case of Ramayana. Imagine solving a jigsaw puzzle, crossword puzzle, you put it together. If you do it in a logical fashion, if you do it in a scientific fashion, and using Tantra Yukti, you are going to get only one answer. You must get one answer, otherwise you have done something wrong. The correct answer for Mahabharata is 5561 BCE. For Mahabharata, it is for Ramayana, it is 12,209 BCE. Okay. Of course, in question answer sessions, we'll look at how many other people have tried in different way, and why they are wrong and why I am right, and so on. Okay. Now, both Ramayana and Mahabharata, they have a mention of all four Vedas. So just from that information, what can you say about the timing of the Vedas?
Before.
Okay, definitely before that. Now, if you look at Rigveda, for example, there are astronomy clues, but there are no specific astronomy clues, at least when I was researching going back to 15 years, that I could say and say, based on this, definitely Rigveda is before this. At least I could not find them at that time. Now I do. If I have a time or next slide is there, I'll show you what they are. So I changed the style. Instead of looking at astronomy evidence, I looked at the descriptions of river Saraswati. And if you look at descriptions of river Saraswati, what you can tell is that the Rigveda, or at least some of the portions of Rigveda, are definitely older than 25,000 years. No ifs, no buts. So if I will just quickly summarize it, everyone knows the multiplication tables, or Marathi we call Pade. I don't know what they call in Tamil Nadu. So multiplication tables, when we say 7 ke 7, 7 2 14, 7 3 21, like that, right? So simple way to remember a quick history of India, like the antiquity, based on my research. 7,000 years ago, more than 7,000 years ago, Mahabharata, more than 14,000 years ago, Ramayana, more than, just to keep that Pada thing going, 21,000 years ago, Rigveda. So anytime from future, and just right now the Shraddha, which means you trust me that whatever I am saying is true, you can question me afterwards. If somebody asks you how old is Indian civilization, before this possibly you would have given an answer, 5,000 years. Everybody says it. You know, many times even Prime Minister Modi ji also says 5,000 years. It doesn't matter who says it, it is wrong. There is absolutely no basis to say we are 5,000 years old. In fact, when we say 5,000 years, you may realize it or not, essentially you are jumping into the nonsense of alien invasion theory. So stop it. Don't say this. Okay? Very confidently say we have more than 25,000 years of civilization. Now somebody is going to ask you based on what? Well, you are listening to this, you are watching my things, not just mine, there are many other researchers, okay? You are looking at it. But if nothing else, you say based on the research work of Nilesh. He says, well, but can you give me something? No, I will not. Read his books, go talk to him. Okay? That you can do. So let's look at the Mahabharata. Now how do you figure it out? Just remember the word, two words. A crucial evidence and clinching evidence. Okay? These are the scientific terms. We will understand the meaning of it. Because evidence can be a lot. But we are looking for a crucial evidence. We are looking for a clinching evidence. What is our process? Like Shankaracharya or Yajnavalkya. And science process is the same. We go by elimination. What is not? Or you would have heard the term neti, neti, not this, not this, not this. That's how we are going to get to our destination. Just to give you an example what I mean by not this. Some of you who watch my videos, you know this, but I'm going to use the same example because hopefully it works with everyone. Everyone knows Lokmanya Tilak. Everyone said yes, they know it. Have you heard of Swatantra Veer Savarkar? Mahatma Gandhi? Now listen to what I say very carefully. I am going to make a sentence, a statement. You have to tell if it is true or false. Is it? Right now it's what? 2025. Now listen to me carefully. In 1925, Lokmanya Tilak, Swatantra Veer Savarkar and Mahatma Gandhi came together in Pune and they discussed for 3 hours what different things to do to gain the freedom from British. False? Anyone here who thinks it is true? No, okay. Now why false?
1920,
Right, so listening carefully is very important. Right, 1925 I said. That means what? 1920 is when Lokmanya Tilak passed away. There is no fat chance that they three can be there in 1925. Now, anyone from academia, especially geology here? Actually, Pune has lots of them. No? Nobody here? No, they think they know everything. Okay. Now, what academics do? Actually, it happens many times. They say, well, they say it's false, but the reasoning they give is very different. They say, I don't think Swatantra Veer Savarkar and Mahatma Gandhi will sit together and discuss this issue and so on. Then they write essays on it, they write published papers, they write books on it. In the meantime, forgetting that 1925 is the answer. Okay? So just remember that. Now, just like I said, 1925 was a crucial point, crucial information that immediately allowed you to say this is not possible. Can you remember this? That's how we are going to use it. Quickly, people ask about the consistency of the text. How many of you have heard that, oh, but you know what? Mahabharata has got lots of additions. Over time, lots of additions. You have heard that? And so people say, but hey, if it's lots of additions, how do I know that the particular verse you are looking at is not added afterwards and so on? Okay, same thing for Ramayana. My answer is, I don't know whether it is added afterwards or not, but we can test it. There is an easy way to test it if something is added afterwards or not, and we are going to go through that. Okay? So we are going to assume the consistency of the text, like which is to say we can trust this 100,000 verse Mahabharata, we can trust this 24,000 verses long Ramayana, and we are going to say this is a good book. Let's look at the evidence and let's find out what we can test. Academics, Indology don't do that. They get into this utter nonsense that, oh, but the text has got these additions. Yeah, so what? For example, now the young kids don't know here, but people of my age and maybe close by, they do know in our childhood when we went to the store or before we cooked a rice or in a dal, we had to clean them. We have to remove the stones, is it not? Even grinding the wheat. Now, was that a problem? I mean, yeah, it was a work. But we could know, we know what the stones are. We removed them, we cleaned it, and then we did our stuff. So, there is a method, just like we know what is not rice. Similarly, there are scientific methods, logical ways of figuring it out. What could have been added? It's never a problem. At least, not a problem with Mahabharata and Ramayana. Okay? If somebody says that can be a problem, tell them my name. I said so. It's not a problem. They can come and debate and we can hold it here. Okay? Geography of Mahabharata war participants, quickly. That's India that everyone can see. Now imagine it's kind of at an angle, but for simplicity, think of it as a east and west. This may be surprise to some of you, maybe to others not. The warriors who came from different parts of the world who fought in the Mahabharata war, they are not just from our today's India. They came in the west as far as Syria, even Turkey and Iraq and Iran and so on, and in the east, let's say Indonesia, okay, and all the countries in between, and of course the India, even the northern parts of India and so on, like Tibet. Tibet is India, right? Yeah. Finding the year of Mahabharata war, it is practically that difficult, searching for a needle in a haystack. Everyone knows that metaphor, okay? If I don't make it difficult, then you won't find importance of me, okay? So it is like looking for a needle in a haystack, but there is even a bigger problem. Are you searching for it in the right place, as in, sorry, yeah, as in, are you searching in the right haystack? That's how the problem is actually challenging. But the greatness of Valmiki and Vasudev is such that they have made it very easy for us. Okay, we'll see how that is solved. Crucial experimental evidence, I already gave you an example. You can read the definition, but I gave a simple example of Lokmanya Tilak, Swatantra Savarkar and Mahatma Gandhi. You have to eliminate the things, and you definitely know 1925 is not possible. Correct? That's the kind of evidence we are going to look for. And when we get that evidence, we know definitely where war would not happen. Okay? Yeah, that's fine. This is our magic method. Now in academia again people say, so which method did you use? People ask me. Okay, and I say, what do you mean which method? There is only one method. Truly. It doesn't matter which discipline. People say, no, but I work in social sciences. I say, so what? The method is the same. What is your problem? Okay, so you start with what your problem is, what problem you are trying to solve, and then to solve the problem, you propose a theory, you propose a hypothesis. Once you propose a hypothesis, it tells you which evidence to look for. Are you with me? Then, okay, I'll give you an example of it.
कृपया आपले मोबाईल फोन बंद करावे नाहीतर सायलेंट करावे.
If you want to take a second to figure that out, please do that. So once you put a hypothesis in front, then you know what kind of evidence to look at. I want to just give you an example of it. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I want all of you to note down all the important things in this room. Time starts now. Some of you are not even doing it. It is that confusing. Okay? This is not providing any guidance. Now I'm going to change that question and I'm saying, I want you to look at in the room for say 30 seconds. Look at any object that you can identify that will tell you what time of the day it is. Right?
No.
Everyone? And maybe you look at your smartphone and so on and so forth. Now I gave you some direction. That is what we mean by the theory. Einstein said it is the theory that tells you what to observe. Are you with me? What is my theory? For Ramayana, for Mahabharata. My theory is all the astronomy descriptions of Mahabharata are the descriptions of Mahabharata times. Simple? All the descriptions of Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana, are the descriptions of Ramayana times. Simple, everyone understood? Let's go. So we look at that evidence, we find a way to objectively test it, and every time we draw some inference based on it. And in the process, we are going to assume certain things for granted. For example, this is not a dream. You are actually sitting in the hall and I am talking and it's not a dream, something like this. Okay? I'll stick to that. Now, this is my experience. I'm sure you have that experience too. Every time you don't find gold. But wherever you stumble, in research especially, there lies your treasure. So, where did I begin? I began with something called Arundhati Vashishtha observation. How many of you have heard this before? Depending on that, I'll decide how much to spend time to spend. Okay, got it. For others, in Mahabharata text, you can take the notes now. Just kidding. In Mahabharata, perfect. And there are 2,000 additional videos. In Mahabharata text, the description is just before the Mahabharata war. Vyasadeva is talking to the blind king Dhritarashtra and making a last minute effort to see if the war can be stopped. And to convince Dhritarashtra, he is telling practical things. He says, look, I don't see good signs around. Things that don't look good. See if you can convince your son to stop the war. Now Dhritarashtra is not interested. Dhritarashtra is always playing back and forth, a very cunning guy actually. That's what Mahabharata describes. So, I'm not going to the history, everyone knows the history there. So, among these descriptions, one description that Vyasa tells Dhritarashtra is something in the sky, because we are only going to look at astronomy. He says, out of those Saptashis, that great Arundhati, next to it is a Vasishtha. Everyone has seen the Saptashis in the sky? Who has not seen it? Everyone? Impressive. Okay. So, like there is a rectangle and then there is a tail, right? 3 stars. The middle star is a Vasishtha in the tail and next to that is Arundhati. He is saying that Arundhati is walking ahead of Vasishtha. This is day before the Mahabharata war. Ya Jesha Visuta Rajas Trailoke Sadhu Sambata Arundhati Daya Vishwa Vasishtha Prashtata Kruta. Now why is this? This is a big deal. This is a big deal, crucial evidence that I told you, like that 1925. Because today, if you go at night and look at Arundhati and Vasishtha, it is Vasishtha who is walking ahead. I am going to take the complexity of astronomy out, okay, from this. If you go back using modern astronomy, formulas, whatever, mathematics, software, if you go back 1000 years, Vasishtha is ahead. Now I am going to say, if you go back something, you have to say Vasishtha is ahead. Okay? If you go back 2000 years, 3000 years, 4000 years, 5000 years, no 5000, okay. 6000 years, Vasishtha is ahead. I'm not going to ask the next question. Because after that, if you go more than 6500 years from today, actually some magic happens. The astronomy things happens in such a way that if you were here and we were here, right? Which is just different bodies. Yeah? We were here. If you would have looked at the sky, you would have seen that, oops, now Arundhati is walking in. Okay? So, what was that time? Now, 5561 is the answer. I have already told you that. How many of you watch on Netflix like this detective type of series? Yeah. These days, like how many of you have seen the old movie in Hindi movie Khamosh? Right? There until end we don't know who killed who. Now these days they make it easier. Right in the first episode they show us who killed who, and now we have to find out how the detective figures it out mostly, right? That's the plot. Something like this. I have used the modern plot. I have already told you the answer, 5561. I am telling you now how I arrived at that answer. So that Arundhati Vasishtha, that observation said, look, 11,091 BCE, everyone understands? So that's like what? About 13,000 years ago. We have to add 2,000 to it. From 11,091 to 45 OA BC, only in this interval, only in the middle time period, Arundhati would be ahead. What can you say about that based on this for any time period after 4500 BC, last 6,500 years? Mahabharata cannot happen if that reference is true. Everyone follows what I'm saying? This is logical reason. Now, somebody may say, but look, this can be a coincidence. Out of 100,000 words, there's just one verse you happen to get it and you think you got the answer. No, I haven't got the answer. In fact, can I trust this? See, you should take everything on the faith. Shraddha is good. Shraddha is a good starting point. What do they say? Trust, but verify. So, 10 years after me, I did this in 2009. It took me 15 years, by the way. I started researching on that one show in 1994. I thought I can finish this in 15 days. It took me 15 years. From 1994 to 2009. Okay, my wife's birthday, 8 May 2009, Friday, and I solved the problem. Okay. Now, 10 years after me, another guy, he said, is Nilesh telling the truth? So that was 2019. One guy, Siddhartha Chhabra, he is also based in Michigan. He said, let me look at the astronomy data and see what answer I get for the same problem. And actually, he got this answer because newer data, more precise data, 10 years younger data, fresher data. Now the answer he got is what? A shorter time interval. Now if you are looking for the year of Mahabharata war, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Good thing, because now I have to look only into the shorter time interval. Okay, good. But could this be a coincidence? So I said, let's look at some additional evidence. Now, before this, there is our Joshiji. Okay, here. So he was showing me some discussion. So for those who follow my trolls, not only me, but follow my trolls, this is a graph created by one Dr. Rajaram Mondroy.
The new one.
Huh?
The new one.
No, that was by
The new one.
the Rajaram Mondroy who is alive. Okay? IIT Kanpur, Ohio State University, but somehow doesn't understand astronomy. Actually, he's very good at actually drawing the graphs here. So he did this, but do you know what is he doing? He did the graph and just verifying what I am saying. You want that kind of trolls. Okay? So essentially he's saying, you see the curve, anytime it goes below the x-axis, you see that area? That is known as the epoch of Arundhati, the dates I gave you. Okay? This is a simulation that we can look afterwards. But could this just be a coincidence or trust but verify? Let's look at something else. Now, how many of you know the name Bhishma Pitama? Okay. How many days war lasted? 18 days. Very good. These days we don't get this answer. I asked my son a few years ago, he said 100 days. Okay, so I have to correct him. So what happened here is, Bhishma was the Kuru in Kaurava side's general. First 10 days he was the Senapati on the Kaurava side. On the 10th day he fell down in the battle but did not die. Okay? And he stayed on the Sharashaya with all the other stuff that you know will not go into, waiting for the day of winter solstice. In our times it's 21st December, whatever the time that was. But what it tells you is how long he was waiting on the bed of arrows. If you look at how long he was waiting, if you take into account which was the lunar month when the war happened, what was the lunar month? Anyone? When the Mahabharata war happened, what was the lunar month, Indian lunar month? Not Chaitra. When do we celebrate Bhagavad Gita Jayanti? December. Is that Indian lunar month? Margashira. So it was the lunar month of Margashira that he was lying on the bed of arrows for 95 days. And if you know astronomy 101, immediately you can tell this, okay? That Arundhati and Vashishtha gave you this, and Bhishma Nirvana gives you this. That he has to be there on the bed of arrows for 95 days, starting from Margashira, wait for that long, and then winter solstice. It is only possible from 7000 BC to 4700 BC. And then if you fine tune the first day of the war, the Tithi and whatnot, okay, you can fine tune this and you can actually find out the 1600 year time period where you should search for the year of Mahabharata war. Everyone with me? And notice that 1600 year time period also falls into the Arundhati Vashishtha observation area. Okay, so we are consistent now. Okay, so how do we find out the specific year of the Mahabharata war? I already gave you the answer. Okay, but what are the clues? These are the clues. Isn't that how the kind of crossword puzzle looks like? You know, what we have here is 5 visible planets to the eyes. What are those? Mars, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn. Okay, plus Moon and the Sun. Of course, there is a Rahu and Ketu. We will not go into that because we cannot see them. If you take these 5 visible planets plus Moon and the Sun, Mahabharata text has close to 50 descriptions, like their positions. At the time of Mahabharata war, Mars was here and it was moving like this, and so on and so forth. How many of you know Sanskrit? Okay, so now I am going to say the Sanskrit slok and they are going to translate it for us. In fact, the beauty is there are 50 descriptions of different planets, but something very amazing about Vyasadeva. If you look at, there are 8 different descriptions of Mars, okay, related to the war, or in the entire Mahabharata text. If you only take those, now listen carefully, if you only take those 8 descriptions of Mars, and for a minute, and only for a minute, you just forget Arundhati and Vashishtha, you just forget Bhishma, Ramayana, doesn't matter. You start from today. Take those 8 descriptions. Only it will take a lot of time and lot of efforts. This helps us. And you go back in the past, you are going to get only one date, and that is 5561 BC. How are these descriptions? Who are those Sanskrit experts again? Raise your hand, please. Yes, now we have no Sanskrit experts, okay? Alright. So it says Madhas Swanga. Now listen to the words, see if you can see the Mars in it. Madhas Swangarako Vakra Shravanecha Brahaspati. Madha, near Nakshatra Madha, Angaraka went Vakra. This is one reference. Next, Krutva Changarako Angarako. Krutva Changarako means Krutva Cha Angarako. Krutva Changarako Vakra. Jeshtaya Madhusudana. Anuradha Prarthiyate Maitram Samshya Mandima. Nunam Mahadbhayam Krishna Turuna Samupasitam Visheshenai Vashnaya Chitra Pidete Gram. So this Mars is doing something to Chitra. Visheshenai Vashnaya. Another thing. Alright. I'll speak loudly until then. So Krutva Changarako Vakra. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Krutva Changarako Vakra. So that same Mars which went Vakri near Madha, now again going Vakri near Jeshta Anuradha. The reason I am saying this, the reason I am saying this, I have 2 purposes. Just to give you a flavor how the astronomy evidence appears in Mahabharata. Everyone understand that? Let's go a few further. I will tell you the second purpose in a minute. Now this Mars went retrograde in the region of Chitra and Swati. Now, how many of you understand retrograde? If you don't understand, that's fine. How many of you understand planet going retrograde? Just one? Okay. So just take it on a leap of faith, let's say. So it says Mars went retrograde near Chitra and Swati. Do you know how it says this? Again, we have Sanskrit experts. Dhruvam prajvalitam ghoram apasabhya pravartate chitra swatantare chaiva dishtitam parushakraham vakranukram krutvam cha shravane pavaka prabha brahma rashi samavutta lohitambo vyavasthitam. I can go on and on for 50 references. So first one is to show you how a astronomy evidence looks like, because people wonder, what do you mean there is astronomy evidence in Mahabharata? This is the kind of descriptions. Now the reason I also said these verses, my second objective was to impress you. Have I done that?
Yes.
Okay. I will not say many Sanskrit shlok after this. Alright. So where were we? We can start it whenever it comes. That's fine. You can go on. Whenever it comes, I'll just go straight. Yeah, it will come. So like that. And if you take these 8 observations of Mars and of course the additional by Jupiter, there are 6 for Saturn, 4 for Jupiter, and on, and solve this jigsaw puzzle, every time you are going to get the answer 5561 BC, know the year. Period. Okay. So that's what it is showing. It's a retrograde, and again this is a complex chart. By the way, everyone understands what those numbers are? 1 through 28? Nakshatras. Okay, and I have written the numbers, and this is the kind of complexity there. So you say, well, you know what, I don't understand it. It's not easy to trust Nilesh. Whatever he's saying must be true. Let's go on. Okay? But if those of you are interested, I don't know if I met them today or yesterday, but some people are actually watching, she must be watching, some people are actually watching all my simulation videos for each planet and so on and so forth. You can do that. How many of you have a sleeping problem at night? Okay? They work very well. At night, you just open your smartphone, type Nilesh or Mahabharata, lots of videos come, start watching any, all of them work very well. Either you will get into binge watching and you will be very enlightened in the morning with red eyes, or you will have a good night's sleep. Okay? Just to show you how those references look like, these are the 6 references I showed for Saturn. Okay? So Prajapatyam Nakshatram Brahat Krishna Mahatyati Shanashchara Pidayati Pidayan Pranipoditam this nakshatra is a Rohini, and so on. Okay? And we can do that. Jupiter, 4 references. Mahabharata, Mars, 8 references that I referred to. Okay? Venus, again similar number of references. These are Mercury references. Done. You get 5561 BC. And guess what? We are still left with about 150 astronomy references. Now, when you use them, every time it says 5561 BC, 5561 BC, and so on. Okay? Ramayana, same thing now. You are experts nowadays. Okay, we can go fast. Ramayana, how many references did I say?
600.
600. Out of 600, if you take only 6 references, if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, if you see the picture, you understand the picture, great. If you don't understand it, great. Okay. Just on this side, what I am showing you is the pole star of Ramayana times. How many of you have seen pole star in the sky? Okay, so everyone knows how to do it. Suppose what is that? Longitude of Pune, around 19 or so. Right? Those how many who has not seen a pole star in the sky? Raise your hand. I'll give you a quick method. Okay, of course the sky must be clean, so you have to go to Lonavala or something like that, wherever. But you face north direction. Suppose this is a north direction, and latitude is about 19 degree. Okay, 18 degree maybe, something like this. So what you do is from the horizon you go to 18 degrees. Yeah, from the horizon you go to 18 degrees. First you say, "Hi Hitler." No. Okay, so at that angle you start looking at the somewhat bright star that you can see there, and then watch for maybe half an hour. Of course you'll know. All other stars will change their position a little bit, but that star will not change the position. That is your pole star. Now today's pole star, anyone knows the name of that pole star? Huh? Thank you. That's very useful. That is a translation. We have a German translator here with us, you know. That is just no, we have done more. Yeah, okay, yeah, there. Okay, that is just a translation. Dhruva Tara is a translation of a pole star. But you know the scientific name or meaning, the astronomy name. It's called Polaris or Dhruva Matsya. Okay, in the Indian thing. But what Ramayana is saying is, at the time of Ramayana, what we have a pole star today was not the pole star. Because you know, Earth has 4 motions. Tell me the motions that you know. One is around itself. Count, somebody count it please for me. 1. Second is around the sun. 2. What is the third motion? Anyone? Incline. Okay, incline, which is what? About. And the fourth one? Precession of the Earth's axis. Okay? The Navratra times. Something like this. Okay? So this thing is, the pole star is changing because of that Navratra thing. The Earth's axis is like this, but at the same angle, it goes like this and makes one circle. It takes 26,000 years. 26,000 years. This bow down, this takes 41,000 years. Okay, so because of this slow motion, and Vyasadeva and Valmiki has combined the both, we can know the accurate time. How?
I did not understand what you spoke.
Okay, we will get into question answer and we will look at that. Okay. Now, the bow down motion we don't have to worry about it, but Indian astronomers know about it, and also we can go back and actually track the antiquity of it. So this, if you ask the question, what was the pole star of Ramayana times? If you just ask that question to Ramayana, and if you look at that evidence, bingo. Immediately is going to take you back to 14,000 years. That show, I don't know if you can read it because there's a green background. The top left hand corner. Brahma Rashi Vishuddhasya Shuddhasya Paramashya Archishmanta Prakashante Dhruvam Sarve Pradakshinam. The bright Brahma Rashi is the pole star and the Saptashis are going around it. Okay, and if you look at this 26,000 year cycle, what you know is Brahma Rashi means Abhijit, means Vega. And if you want to know when was Vega the pole star in the past? Answer is 12,000 BC. or if you want to be very precise, 12,048 BCE. That's the beauty of astronomy. It is capable of taking you to very precise answers if you need it. Most cases we do not need precise answers, and still we can get to our destination. And then this is a canopus. I'll skip through that. That's how we do it. Now, how do we know the specific year? This particular slope, okay, for me. So this particular year, a comet was seen when they are ready to leave for Lanka from Hubli. She has come from Hubli. She has come from Hubli. Can you stand for a minute and turn around? Okay, turn around. Everyone can see you. Now, just I want to quickly answer the question: who are Vanaras? Okay, who are Vanaras? What is that? Stand for a minute again. Okay. Tara and Roma look somewhat like that. People of northern Karnataka. People are wondering what is that. They were human beings, guys. Okay, please have a seat. Give her a big hand. So that's how we find it. Now, we are going to go into the next phase. Have you heard the term "no good work goes unpunished"? Like this. So yes, astronomy gave me 5561 BCE for Mahabharata. For Ramayana, 12,209 BCE. Now people say, but people don't have to ask. Recently, we published, I was in, me, myself and Ashwini, my wife, we were in Australia for a month on a lecture tour. And Akashvani Sydney, Marathi, Akashvani Sydney, they took our interview. Okay? And they basically asked us, like, how do we know that we can trust this information? Astronomy is fine. What else? Basically, what you can say is this: P1, T2, P2. This is known in science as tetradic schema. Have you heard this before? Anyone? No, I feel good. I'm giving you something new. In a way, we know it. This is what happens. P1 is our problem number one. What is my first problem? When did Mahabharata happen? When did Ramayana happen? To solve this, what is my theory? TT is a tentative theory. All astronomy descriptions of the epics are astronomy descriptions of that time. That is my theory. Everyone with me? I picked one astronomy description, Arundhati and Vashishtha. Arundhati has to be ahead. It's not ahead today. So I go back, keep on changing the interval until I reach the interval when Arundhati is ahead. Everyone follows me? What did I do? I eliminated the error. Everyone follows? Because today Arundhati is not ahead. I want Arundhati ahead. I moved the time interval. I came here. EE is elimination of error. Okay? Now, I successfully found out 5561 BC 12,009. Now people say, but are you done? Actually, I am done. But people say, oh, but that's in the sky. What about something on the ground? People say, what about archaeology? Pune people do say that. Deccan College folks and whatnot. Okay, what about archaeology? And I say, what am I talking for last 30 minutes? That is also archaeology. Like logy is a study of something, archaeo is study of the past. Any evidence that you have access to, and if you can use it to know about the past, that's archaeology. But most of the archaeology degree holders are not aware of that definition. They always want a pot or a pan. Until then it's not archaeology. Let's show them something on the ground. So we got the answer. How come we don't have evidence for? You can fill in anything you want. What are some of the words you want to fill in? Evidence for chariots, horses, yeah? Telescopes. Do you know where it comes from? This comes from the Western Indology, lack of scientific acumen, lack of logical reasoning, and stupidity. If I have evidence and if I came up with the answer, that is the answer, guys. If I get additional evidence, wow, great. But if I don't get it, whatever I have done, you want to challenge me on that, you have to challenge me on the same basis. You say, look, I am not trusting your Arundhati and Vashishtha. I think otherwise. That's what we need to do. Fortunately, we have lots of evidence. I'm going to show you some. Okay, I'll skip this. From Mahabharata, I will take two examples. There are many, about 12 different disciplines of science. I will take Krishna's Dwarka being destroyed by sea waters 36 years after the Mahabharata war. Have you heard this? after the Mahabharata war, Mahabharata text says, 36 years after the war, suddenly there was a sea level rise and Krishna's Dwarka instantaneously went under the water. Now that evidence won't be out there. That evidence is on the ground. There is something else that you know this. 18 Okshomani male warriors, that amounts to about 40 lakhs male warriors. Okay? They played cricket for 18 days. They fought for 18 days and practically 99.99% were gone. And if you look at 7,500 years ago, you can go to Google and find out the population estimates. Lot less people. The population estimates are, these are not very good estimates. Anywhere from 2 million to 50 million, the world population that time. Okay? We'll not look at that, but it's small population. My point is, 4 million is a huge number. Okay? For that. So therefore, so let's look at the Krishna's Dwarka evidence. Okay? Now Galileo told us what? Celestial is equal to terrestrial. Because people used to think that terra, the earth is like a rough, the islands and ups and downs. But if you look at the sky, all the sun and moon is very polished. Because they were not looking through the telescopes. As soon as he pointed the telescopes, they say, it's same as Earth. Okay? So the celestial is equal to terrestrial. But long before Galileo, Vyasa and Valmiki knew this. Okay? So they are going to show terrestrial equal to celestial and so on. So Mahabharata explains the modern scientific data. This is the first data point. India, West Coast. This is that science paper that we talked about, 1998 and so on. What do you see? This is the graph. Look at the x-axis is time, y-axis is the rise in sea level. And let me see. Let's see that here. So this is my x-axis. This is the time. This is my y-axis, rise in sea level. This line is the mean sea level. You know what this means? Mean sea level today. Okay. Now at the top, this is 2000, that's us. 1000, 0, that's Jesus Christ, just for reference. Minus 1000, minus 2000, minus 3000, minus 4000, minus 5000, and minus 6000. So 5000 BC, 6000 BC. You follow me? Now follow this graph. I don't know if everyone can see this line. And here, look from here. All the way here, and then additional 8 meters. So from here to here is 23 meters sea level rise. Is that sufficient to flood Dwarka? Apparently it was. Okay. But something interesting, this is today's sea level, but after Krishna's Dwarka went under the water, the sea level kept on rising and it went up. In addition to today's level, it went up about 3 meters. Everyone follows the same. It stayed there. It went up 3 meters. It stayed there like that for the next 2000 years. And what happens after that? Then it started coming down and like this and this. Now we have one Gujarati participant, right? It's your time now. Have you been to Dholavira and Lothal? Okay, who else has been to Dholavira and Lothal? Okay. Afterwards you can Google it. Today, Dholavira and Lothal, which are places in Gujarat, they are inland. The ocean is far away from it. But if you look at archaeology data, archaeology evidence, that if you go back beyond 2000 BC to 3000 BC, 4000 BC, 5000 BC, for about 2000 to 3000 years, Dholavira and Lothal were ports. Do you know why they were ports? The answer is here. The sea level has gone plus 3 meters up, so water was very close actually to Dholavira and Lothal. And then after 2000 BC, the water went away. So in this one chart, I showed the evidence for Krishna's Dwarka going under the water, but also why Dholavira and Lothal were ports from about 4000 BC to 2000 BC. Everyone with me? Okay. So that was a bonus. But this is not the only piece of evidence. This was a global event, and actually I just showed you the evidence for. I just showed you the evidence for here, Krishna's Dwarka. But all the dots that you are seeing around the world, there is a evidence right in the middle of 6 millennium BC, namely 5525 BC, a sudden sea level rise and then flat or actually coming down. Everyone follows 30 different locations. Okay, let's see what comes up next. This one is from West Indies, so we are going to follow the cricket. Okay. Same thing, x-axis is the time. So this is where we are today. Okay, you go back to 20,000 years. That's the x-axis time. Y-axis is the sea level rise. Okay, there is the CRE1, CRE2, CRE3. Let's see what it does. Okay, very nice. This is evidence from West Indies, 7 different locations. 5525 BC, sudden sea level rise of 6.5 meters. That's how the global event it was. Okay, I'm going to show you some additional bonus. How many of you have heard the name Plato, the Greek guy? Very good. How many of you have heard Atlantis? Anyone knows what Plato said about Atlantis? That it went underwater. Anyone knows what Plato said as to when did it go underwater? No? Plato in his Tiamus or whatever the book, he said, based on his knowledge, Atlantis went underwater 9,000 years before Plato. Now what is the time of Plato? 500 BC, 2,500 years ago. 9,000 plus 2,500 is 11,500 years ago. You see that 11,500 years ago? 11.5K. And another sudden sea level rise. So this is Krishna, sudden sea level rise here. This is Plato's. And actually, if you go further, that's Atlantis. And if you go further, that Ravana's Lanka. That's why you don't see Ravana's Lanka today. So we said Sri Lanka, we'll call you Ravana's Lanka. Actually, if you look at the Valmiki Ramayana descriptions and all astronomy texts of India, and even all the texts related to Ramayana in the last 1,500 years, you will see that Sri Lanka is not Ravana's Lanka. But because where the Ravana's Lanka is supposed to be, there is nothing to show right now, just a very deep ocean. Okay, so we said we need some place to go on a religious vacation. And Sri Lankan minister says, fine. Actually, I was with the Sri Lankan tourism minister for 8 days in Jabalpur 3 years ago. I told him that Ravana's Lanka is not Sri Lanka. He said, I know. If I had shown, I will show the picture. We have pictures, he in his white veshti and all, and on the bank of Narmada, we have the pictures. And it's perfectly okay if you have booked a vacation to Sri Lanka to see, perfectly fine. In Shraddha, that's perfectly fine. Okay? So this is additional bonus. This is the evidence, not only it tells you that additional evidence from Krishna's Dwarka, but even the Atlantis going underwater. Okay? So what does this do? This increases our confidence. Now, how many of you have heard before coming here or before knowing my work or work of Dr. P.V. Varta, that if I would have asked you, when did Mahabharata what happened, you would have said about 5,000 years ago? Everyone? Yes? Now, I want to tell you something. Out of those 300 astronomy descriptions in Mahabharata, not even a one of the astronomy descriptions, no matter how much you dance, sing, doesn't matter, it will not take you anywhere to 3000 BC plus minus 1000 years. Everyone follows what I'm saying? This is serious stuff, guys. Not even single reference. But now I want to show you something on the ground. This is a paper from 2019. And how many of you are on the Twitter? Just one, two. Okay. So do you know the handle which says Mumukshu Savitri? Huh? So Mumukshu Savitri gave this paper to me. Says, Nileshji, you might find this useful. She's in California. What is great about this evidence, this is from Indonesia, Aceh Banda, okay? That all, this is again x-axis is time, okay? And what did I do? It's not doing the great thing. Okay, the x-axis is time, and this is like not a sea level rise, these are different instances. 7,500 years ago, that's the Krishna's Dwarka. But notice something here. Okay? From 3500 BC to 1500 BC, that is where 3000 BC is. That is where our dear friends, out of 130 different Mahabharata dating researchers, 130, close to 100 Mahabharata dating researchers, their claims fall into that range, around 3000 BC plus minus 100, 200 years. And what this data shows, 3500 BC to 1500 BC, there is not even a blip in the ocean rise. Because other two graphs I showed you, either the water is steady or it is going down. That's why it's not showing anything up. You follow? So there is no data that they can show for Krishna's Dwarka. There is no astronomy data from Mahabharata that they can show for their day. Okay? Post-Mahabharata genetics to get this evidence. What happened to the line? Okay? Let's see. Okay. Again, the y-x-axis is time. Something with the computer is not showing the clear data. You have to do with me, okay? What I have. X-axis is time. Y-axis is something called ratio, NE. Okay? So the person who invited me here, so let's do honor to them. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Pashan. Okay. Thank you. So because they were the host, they were there on time. But let's imagine they were late for something, okay? And they just entered the room, both of them entered the room. Now if you are like me, we will say, oh, Mr. and Mr. Vaishnav are 15 minutes late, but they are here. But not if you are a molecular geneticist. Anyone molecular biologist, molecular geneticist in the crowd? No? This is what a molecular biologist or geneticist will say. If Mr. and Mrs. Vaishnav enter, they will say 3 X's and 1 Y entered the room. Everyone understands it? XX and XY. So when nothing is happening, everything is going normal, lots of people marrying each other, producing babies and good stuff going on. If you look at the variety, the variations and variety of X's and you divide that by the variety of Y, you will get, you cannot see the Y-axis, you will get that noise which is like the background noise. It will be, the number there is 3, about 3. 3 is to 1. Everyone understand? That percentage will hold. Now something dramatic happens. The curve will go away from this, either in the down direction or up direction. This is the data from Monica Carmin paper, geneticist, about 90 scientists, 2015. And you have to trust me on the x-axis there. You see the biggest peak there. If you come on the y-axis, that number is 17. So instead of 3:1, everything being normal, suddenly the ratio, which is the variation in the female chromosomes to variation in the male chromosomes, suddenly change. So this is called Y chromosomes or male chromosomes bottleneck. The female chromosomes variety has not changed, but the male chromosomes variety has gone down. Everyone follows? And the ratio is like 17:1. If you look at on the x-axis, the timing is 7,500 years ago. Now just remember this. I'm going to take you to the earthquake in Gujarat, the Bhuj earthquake. Anytime you hear of an earthquake, you immediately ask 3 questions, and if you don't ask those questions, then these are the 3 questions you should ask. You ask, how serious is the earthquake? What is the Richter scale? When did it happen? And where did it happen? What is the epicenter? Now take this metaphor, come to genetic earthquake that happened 7,500 years ago and which has a Richter scale, genetic Richter scale of 17:1. Everyone follows? The one question we need to ask, where did it happen? What was the epicenter? Monica Carmin paper says, India. Now can you relate something that happened in India 7,500 years ago, where there's something happened that suddenly led to a Y chromosomes bottleneck? By the way, the previous papers that I showed you, Salins, 1998, the second Atlantis paper I showed you, that is Paul Blanchon and Jane Shaw, 1995, and this is paper 2015, Monica Carmin. All these three groups have nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the Mahabharata or Ramayana or Atlantis. They are doing their own research with whatever they are doing. But if you know how to connect the dots, you can actually connect the dots. Okay? It becomes a very useful evidence. This is all that I just explained. I am showing it to you here. And look at the geography of India, geography of Mahabharata. India in the middle. The west part is the Middle East. Okay? And then east is Indonesia, southeast is Asia or something. Okay? And so let's just keep that in mind. People have come from here, people have come from here, and the India proper. Most from India proper, they have 40. Now, something interesting, I should have hidden something. But now follow the line, okay? The x-axis is time again. Here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 7,500 years is somewhere here. You follow? Okay. Now this is the basic baseline. 3:1 ratio is here. Now any deviation, doesn't matter how much, don't read this scale. But any deviation is basically telling you that there is a effect. You can see the effect. Look at the color for this line. This dark green forest green line. Okay? And that is South Asia. What is South Asia? India. Now notice, from here, it is the first one to deviate. Now of course red deviates here. I will explain why that is so, or I may not explain. If you understand modeling, I don't need to explain. But this is the line that goes down the first to a significant extent. It stays there the longest and it is the last one to recover. Just like a Bhuj. The biggest impact of this Y chromosome bottleneck happened in India. It was the deepest, it stayed there the longest and the last one to recover. Okay? After that, which line? This color, let's say. What is this color? Near East, Middle East. They have also come and fought in the war. They also see the effect, not as much as this, and they quickly recover. The next one is Southeast East Asia. This is blue color line. They also show very similar pattern like India, but they quickly recover. Again, not so many people have come from there. Now I'm going to ask you what should I say? Let me see if I have my money here. Yes, yes, no, no. Let's see. This is a 500 rupee question. How's that? The yellow line. Everyone sees yellow line? Okay. And you cannot answer. She's saying I'm going to get my 500 rupees. Okay. Some recovery from all the costs she paid for to come from Hubli. Okay. That yellow line is for Europe. And what do you see? Exactly same pattern. Right? But it is, instead of that happening about like here, let's just come down here. So about like 8,000, 7,000 years, it is here, like 5,000 years ago, 3000 BC. Everyone follows? What is happening? Can anyone explain? Yamanya invasion of Europe. I have to look for 250 and 250. Closer for something else. Now that's good. That is partially the answer. If nobody gives it, I'm going to give it to him. So somebody wants the money. What is it? Non? Nah. See, Stone Age, Bronze Age, Copper Age, Iron Age, it's an utterly useless framework. Never use it again. Never. Okay. And you some archaeologist you run into and he says, who is saying that? Say Nilesh, talk to him. It's a, as far as the Indian civilization is concerned, it's a stupid framework. Stupid. No other word else. So it does not apply to India. If you don't trust me, go to Wikipedia, read it. Okay?
Why can you explain why?
Huh?
Why it doesn't apply to India? Can you explain why it doesn't apply to India?
No, not right now. That's not the subject. Question answer. In question answer. But I want to give 500 rupees to someone. Yamanya migration is yes. But so why the Indian signature should be in the Yamanya migration? Okay, you won't get your 250. Anyone? Or you get to answer if you want to. No. She said Toba explosion. This is, guys, if you understand this, and you don't need to know genetics for this, this is out of India migration evidence. A signature that is created into the gene pool is basically going somewhere. Now people are like lost. I'll give you an example. Suppose the program that we are having here today, well, I saved my 500 rupees. Suppose people are, today we are having a program in Pune, which is in India. But suppose I have similar programs I do all the time in America. And if I'm talking on Mahabharata and Ramayana, most of the people in my audience are, guess who? Indian. Actually they are in America, but they look like just like this crowd. Why? Because Muslim Indians have gone there. But this is just for the looks, like we can call it phylogenetics, just the looks. But if you take the genetic samples of these people and go on there, they will also match. But what is happening here is the kind of imbalance that has happened in India and the surrounding area 7,500 years ago. You see the same kind of genetic signature, but after 2,000 or 2,500 years in Europe. That is out of India migration. Your answer is partially correct. Yamanya migration. But what you missed is, what is Yamanya migration? No, where the Yamanya migration starts? Do you know the starting point? There you go. You know where it is? Georgia, just west of Caspian Sea. Today it feels like a far away. You go to the Mahabharata times, Caspian Sea is nothing but India. Uttara Kuru, Uttara Madra, and so on and so forth. Thank you. I saved my 500 rupees. Let's go next. Whatever I showed you, I just showing it to you. Domestic mouse. The Ganesh festival is coming closer. Okay. Somebody Hindi speaking people. Where are you from? UP? Okay, it's your time now. Now, if you look at, we looked at the human migration and the human genes, but if you look at the genes of domestic mouse, okay, and you start looking at domestic mouse varieties, there are many all around the world. You start taking their genetic samples and trying to figure out where are you from originally. Do you know what is the answer? India. So why am I asking, are you from UP? Because within India, if you look for where are you from, domestic mouse says UP. Even within India, because what? Now what's the purpose, what's the significance of this? The domestic mouse is directly connected with agriculture and spread of agriculture. Okay? So this is going out from there. So that's another evidence for the same thing for the cows, the Zebu cows. I'll go fast. Quickly, on Ram Ramayana, two pieces of evidence and we'll get into question answer. Ramayana describes elephants with 4 tusks. When Hanuman goes to Lanka and he's going around and finally he finds Ravana's palace. Also he finds Pushpak Viman. So I'm just saying it for your question answer session. Now Nilesh, what are you going to do with Pushpak Viman? Okay. So the Pushpak Viman is also there and a palace is also there. And it says it's guarded by all the soldiers, like security guys. But also for their assistance, there are elephants with 2, 3 and 4 tusks. Now 2 you have seen, but even 3 and 4. And so before, if you would have asked this question even 400 years ago, we didn't have an answer. But then came Darwin, and he started talking evolution, and everyone in the Western world started digging, trying to find objects below fossils and everything else. And what they found that actually in the past there were elephant-like creatures. Anyone knows the name? Mammoths. Mammoths. Okay. So they were there, and they were there for a very long time. But they became extinct about 11,000 years ago, 9,000 BC. When did Ramayana happen? 14,000 years ago. They were there. And where were they? Let me show you. And sorry, what was the other one? Ramayana 14,000 years ago. That's also interesting. So this is the 4-tusked elephant. Just on the back of an elephant, you can see the map of the world. I don't know if you can see it. You see the dots. Wherever you see the dots, those all places they have found the fossils of the mammoths. They were there everywhere until 9000 BC or 11,000 years ago. Now, just because we find a four-tusked elephant doesn't mean Ramayana happened, or doesn't mean Ramayana happened in 14,000 years ago. But it happened 14,000 years ago. How did I figure it out? Based on Valmiki Ramayana evidence. This evidence, based on the descriptions of Valmiki Ramayana and a paleontology evidence, is supporting it. In science, we call it corroborative evidence. What does corroborative evidence does? It increases our confidence in our claim, in our assertion. Our Shraddha goes up. Okay? Yeah, that's also interesting. Geography. How many of you have watched my two-part talks for Sugriva's Atlas? Okay, in fact, it's becoming so famous now. There are a few guys, I don't know even who they are. They are making like a 9 minutes and 10 minutes videos on Sugriva's Atlas. Did you see those? Very beautiful. Actually, very beautiful. If you just type, what is it, Sugriva's Atlas? Yeah, you just type Sugriva's Atlas in YouTube, you are possibly going to get 10 videos made by different people. Everyone is getting reels. People are making reels on it. If you go to Kishkinda, everyone knows the story that now they want to search for Sita. Sugriva invites wanderers from all over the places. He makes 4 different search parties. One party goes east, other goes west, north and south. And to tell them some markers, like, hey, where you have to go, he gives some description. This is Kishkinda, Sarga 40, 41, 42, 43. And if you take that Kishkinda descriptions and if you are good in geography, how many of you passed geography 50 out of 50? Then you qualify. Very good. You take that and you take a Google Earth or something and start mapping. In fact, Deepali and myself, Deepali Patwalkar, if you have heard the name, we are writing the book Sugriva's Atlas. The first draft is done. Now we are going to do second draft, and before December, it should be there in English and hopefully Marathi also simultaneously. We'll see. Essentially, if you read those, just a quick summary, Sugriva knows the earth from all as far east with India as a center, as far east to South America, as far west to Switzerland Alps, as far north to Arctic Sea, and as far south to Antarctica. Okay, but just like Europeans, they think they discovered everything. They discovered us. Vasco da Gama. Columbus also wanted to discover us, but he went in the wrong direction. Not my problem. So whoever he found, he called them Indians. That's why we have Indians everywhere. South America we have Indians, Ayamara Indians, Quechua Indians. North America we have Indians. Australia I was there. Even the word indigenous, what is indigenous? Comes from India. Okay, so they found Indians everywhere because of that. So they know, actually, and he knows Antarctica also. Now, some people will say, but hold on, 14,000 years ago, was there anybody in South America? Again, genetics comes to rescue. This is 2015 forward paper by David Wright. The reason I would say this is because if I say Harvard, David Wright, etc., and genetics, then Indians trust it. Okay. What is showing is that genetic trail going from India, Andaman Nicobar, all the way through Polynesia, Australia, all the way to South America. In South America, you can show the evidence of human presence going back to 33,000 BC, like Mont Vert. The name of this place, Mont Vert. It's in Chile. That Mont Vert, that goes back to 33,000 BC human presence. If you go to Panama, 50,000 BC. The reason I show this is I may say everything and people say, but were there people in South America? Of course there were people. And how many of you know this? Great. How many of you don't know what this is? Raise your hand. Okay. So for those people, what this structure is, this is in Peru. On the west coast of Peru, it is the west coast of Peru as the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. From India, if you go, it is going in the east direction, eventually you will end up in Peru. Now this structure, when Spanish came to South America 500 years ago, they saw the structure, they asked the locals, Ayamara, Quechua Indians, did you build it? They said no. Did your grandparents build it? No. Do you know who built it? No. Do you know why it was built? No. So, somebody has to have an answer. Ramayana has the answer. As Sugriva is giving the description, he says you go first is Thailand, then you go to Yavadvip, that's the Java, and on, then you cross the Kshirosagar, which is Pacific Ocean, and then you will come to the east direction, and he says you will find the structure. And again, we have a Sanskrit experts here. That is the description of that structure in Peru. It says Trishira Kanchanas Ketus Talas Tasya Mahatmana Stapitam Parvatasya Agre Virajati Savedika. Trishira, trident, Kanchana, golden, Ketu, a pole, big pole, okay? Tasya Mahatmana Stapita Parvatasya Agre. It is engraved on the top of the mountain. Virajati Savedika. If you can see the Vedi. When you do a yajna, you create a rectangle, do swaha, swaha, swaha like this. At the bottom, it is established Virajati Savedika on the Veda Bhumi, on like a Vedic structure like this. Now the next verse is not here. Ramayana tells you exact description, but Ramayana goes further. Ramayana tells you who built it, why it was built it, when it was built it. Obviously it has to be before Ramayana. Okay? So is this what Trishira Kanchana status? That is the structure. Why it was built? Purvasya Dishi Nirmanam. To establish the east direction. In the modern language, international dayline. Now it goes through Pacific. Purvasya Dishi Nirmanam Krutam Tat Tri Dasheshware. It was made by Indra, who is the deity of the east direction. And he says, where is it? Tatah Parahemamaya. If you go beyond this, Tatah Parahemamaya Sriman Udaya Parvata. If you go beyond this, you will find a mountain. He calls it Udaya Parvata, which is covered with snow. Any mountain you know? Andes. Okay? Something very interesting. Let me see if I have that. Okay. That's good. Something interesting about this. So we call the mountain Andes. Now, I have not shown the verse. It says, Ramayana says, this structure is an insignia. Everyone understand insignia? Like our flag and something like this. It's an insignia for the mountain. It doesn't say mountain. It says for Ananta. Ananta with a Sahasra hood. Now, if you go to, for a minute, if you go to Bhagavad Puran, and you can search for it, there is one chapter about who is Ananta. You know what it is? Of course, as soon as they say Ananta, what comes in your front of you? A snake with multiple hoods. Yeah, that's the symbolism of it. But what is Ananta? If you go to Bhagavad Puran, it says it is a mountain in Patal. You can go and find it out. And so what is this every hood? Every hood is like every peak. And actually the mountain range begins in Canada. If you think of it, it goes all the way to Central America and then it becomes Andes. But just focus on the Andes. It's Ananta. That's what Bhagavad Puran says. Ananta mountain Patal. That's what Ramayana also says. Something very interesting. In that area, in some areas, engraved on the rocks are the snakes with multiple hoods. Okay, or something more. Afterwards, you can check that. In the Andes mountain, there are anywhere from 3 to 5 peaks that are named Ananta. Monte Ananta, Cerro Ananta, Punto Ananta, and so on. And if you go look for it, okay, is this like some Spanish guy who was excited about Ramayana and went there? No. Actually, when Spanish guys went there, the names were already there. Okay? And so, because they don't know the answer, if you go and search for it, they say, what does it mean? Monte Ananta, Punto Ananta, Cerro Ananta. They say, we don't know, but it must mean something in Ayamara Indian language or Quechua Indian language. Ayamaras are clueless, Quechuas are clueless, but we know what is Ananta. And I don't know if it is true, but not a surprise if you can stretch Ananta to Andes. That's also possible, but we don't have to do that. Okay, so I just showed you like 2 each for Mahabharata. 2 each. So, what was that? Astronomy. Thank you. Oceanography and geology, genetics. That's what we see for Mahabharata. For paleontology for Ramayana and archaeology. But the Dwarka evidence is archaeology. Guys, everything I showed you is archaeology. Everything. And still some people will say, but where is archaeology data? Actually our Brooke says that. But it it's missing archaeology data. Everything I showed you for last whatever 40 minutes, 1 hour is archaeology data, nothing but archaeology data. I don't know what slides we have next, but we can stop at this point. These 3 books, if anyone is interested. By the way, these books also work very well for good night's sleep. Okay, you start reading at the bedtime, and next thing is 6 o'clock in the morning. This is what you find in India by Subu Publications from Hubli. Okay, Sahitya Bhandar and their English version. Oh, she can read it for us. I know what it is. It's like when did Mahabharata happen? But they have been translated in Marathi by Param Mitra Publications in Thane. It's also, there are translated in many other languages now. This is translated in Kannada. What does it say in Kannada?
ಮಹಾಭಾರತ ಯುದ್ಧ ನಡೆದಿದ್ದು ಎಂದು.
Everyone knows what it means, right? Alright, this is the latest book, but it's fine. And we'll stop here. Thank you very much.
The verse on Bhishma's death. So there is a discrepancy. You talked about it briefly at the start. 48,
95.
95 and 48.
95.
Now you can stand there. So please, anyone wants to ask a question, please come in the front. Okay, it will be easy.
So he talked about a discrepancy in Bhishma's death. And you talked about two numbers.
Yeah, we'll go back and ask the question. But what is the question?
The question is in the normal hour, the critical edition, the days are different and they don't match.
Correct. So, not correct. I understand his question. Okay. Yeah, let's turn the light. Oh, you want for this? Okay, fine. Okay. So, thank you. So, what his question is, I wrote it down. How long Bhishma was on the bed of arrows? Now, he said in the Mahabharata edition it says 58 days. That's not correct. Mahabharata edition does say 58, something about 58, but it says a lot more. Actually, there are 100 references. So, let's walk through that. That's a good question. By the way, he's asking a question not because he has a question, he's asking as a devil's advocate. Okay? He can explain this slide. So what happens is, most of the people, if I would not have shown this slide to you, and if you are reasonably familiar with Mahabharata dating efforts by other people, and if I would have asked you how long Bhishma was on the bed of arrows, many people would have said, I have heard 58 days. Is there a shlok like that? Of course there is. Ashtapancha shatabratram shenasyatya vegata. Bhishma is saying, I am lying on this bed of arrows for the last, listen carefully, and we have a Sanskrit expert here, Gata, last 58 days, and it feels like hundreds of years. Okay? That is what the shlok may not be here, but that is what the shlok comes. Just this one shlok, somebody took it, I know exactly who took it. I'm going to tell the name of that person. And did not bother to look at other references from Mahabharata and simply said Bhishma was on the bed of arrows for 58 days. Nonsense. But the person who said it was a great guy. I want to tell the name. His name was Nilkanth Chaturdhar, a Maharashtrian Deshastha Brahmin, originally from Pashan, but lived in Kashi, and did an amazing job of creating a composite edition of Mahabharata same time as Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, 17th century. And then, once it's a lot of work, then he tried to figure out if he can figure out the timing of Mahabharata or specific instances and Tithi and Nakshatra. So when he found this verse, now why he went wrong, I am not going to tell you. I have my videos on that, 3-part video on this. But he took this one verse, 58, and he tried to match it for everything. In fact, because of that mistake, we celebrate Bhishma Nirvan on Magha Shukla Ashtami. You know that? Magha Shukla Ashtami. Andhra Pradesh, that is actually celebrated in the very way. Bhishma Nirvana is celebrated Magha Shukla Ashtami. But that is a mistake, and I am going to give you good evidence of that. Do you know what? That same Andhra Pradesh group, and actually it's known for around the India, but they celebrate it more. Maybe I ask you the question. Have you heard of not Shaila Ekadashi? Ekadashi, when Vishnu Sahasranam was cited. Anyone knows? But there is one Ekadashi, and do you know when it is celebrated? Magha Shukla Ekadashi. Now, do you see a problem with it? Bhishma passed away Magha Shukla Ashtami, and Vishnu Sahasranam was recited by Bhishma to Yudhishthira and everyone present 3 days after. Everyone follows what I am saying? That's the kind of problem comes in. But how do we solve the problem of 58 days? Now I'll tell you how a problem came to me. So everyone was saying 58 days, so I have no reason to object to them. I said, why would somebody lie? Now they were not lying, but once Nilakanta Chaturvedi did it, all other Mahabharata dating researchers were so lazy, they did not bother to read Mahabharata text. If you do read Mahabharata text, this is what you find. On the 10th day of the war, Bhishmacharya fell down in the battle. The war continued for additional 8 days. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, if you count 9 days. Then Mahabharata text tells us, I have given all important verses. They are all there in the critical edition, Gita Press edition, Kumbhakonam edition, does not matter. They are there. So they went to the bank of Ganga after the war is over, and they stayed there for 1 month. Shanti Parva first verse, it says Masam Ekam Mahipura. They went to the bank of Ganga and stayed there for 1 month. So do the math. Let's take that as the 30 days. So 30 plus 9, everyone with me? Still Bhishma is on the bed of arrows. 39. Then they came back to Hastinapur. Yudhishthira was coronated as a king. He distributed the palaces to his brothers and other things. He distributed the portfolios to his ministers. That day Krishna tells Yudhishthira, somebody is waiting for you. We need to go there in a hurry. These 2-3 days might have gone. Let's not even count them. We don't need to count them. So 39 days. Now they all go to Kurukshetra, where Bhishma is still lying down. Okay. On that day, so here, let me show you. So I don't know if you can read it. Yeah, you see it here? Masam Ekam Bahipura. That is that 30 days. Now they go to Kurukshetra and they meet Bhishmacharya. So after 39 plus some days, and that is the day, you know what Krishna does to Bhishmacharya? He says, Pachashakam Shatchakuru Pravira Shesham Dinana Tava Jivitasya. Now you have additional 56 days to live. You follow? 56 plus 39, you can do the math. Okay? Not only that, now for the next 6 days, Bhishmacharya and Yudhishthira, that dialogue happens. Vishnu Sahasranam, Shiva Sahasranam, Apad Dharma, Raja Dharma, Moksha Dharma, all that Shanti Parva and Anushasan Parva. Then, the day of Vishnu Sahasranam, now Bhishma says, please go back to your kingdom, because Vyasa tells Bhishma to say so. Now Yudhishthira is feeling okay. Please go back to Hastinapur and do not come back until sun turns north, meaning the day of winter solstice. The last verse here, Mahabharata tells us that Yudhishthira went back to Hastinapur and stayed there for 50 nights. So the middle discussion is for 6 days. He went to Hastinapur, stayed there for 6 nights. The day of winter solstice comes. Next day he comes back to Kurukshetra, and that is the day of Bhishma Nirvana. And that is that 95 plus days, and not 58. But still the question is, so why there is a verse called 58 days? Okay, now pay attention. So this is where Bhishma is passing away. This is the day he says that verse, Ashtapancha Shatabratram Shedasya Vedata. The past 58 days. What are the past 58 days? He is referring to these 56 days. One day before is when Krishna says that to Bhishma, so that 57. And after winter solstice, Bhishma passes 1 day after, because 1 day after is when truly the sun has turned on. Everyone follows? So he is referring to those past 58 days. So we can actually explain that. Thank you. Next. Whoever has the next question, you can even almost like start walking. We can will save time and can take more questions.
Actually, thank you very much for your amazing talk. So I have two questions. The first one is, you said from the point where you started investigating the Arundhati Vashishtha observation, it took you 15 years to decipher it.
Yeah.
So it would be very interesting for all of us to know what were the challenges you faced.
Good.
And the second question is, because all of us are going to find this very interesting and we share it with our acquaintances. And it would be good for us to know what are like the top 4 or 5 challenging questions that you were faced with after you went public with this, and how we can, justify them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask the second question first. I would like to see challenging questions. In last 15 years, I have really not heard any intelligent challenging questions. I'm not questioning people's intelligence. Actually, I know what questions we need to ask. Remember I told you about the Akashvani Sydney interview? Okay, and in that interview, I was surprised. My wife said good things about me. But something, okay, that's a surprise. But something else she said that was very interesting. She said, she said, Nilesh is his biggest critic. And so the interviewer asked, are you not his biggest critic? And she said, no, I am his second biggest critic. The point I'm saying, I'll come to that question, you asked the second question, 4 questions. In fact, if you are doing research into some field, some subject, and suppose I come to a lecture like this, and I can even tell you this, there will be no question today that you will ask that I have not heard before and that I have not answered before. You know why? Because every question you are going to imagine and ask, I have asked that question to myself and I have answered it. If you have not done that, you are not prepared well enough. So actually, I want people to ask challenging questions. Even the questions I have prepared in my mind and I ask myself and I answer, nobody asks those questions. Or you say, please tell me those questions. We'll come to that. Lots of questions. And what was the first one? Yeah. So what was my journey? Why it took 15 years and what was my thought process? Everyone understood? Why it took 15 years? Okay. So I hear the Sanskrit words, Yajesha, Visuddha, Rajas, Trailoke, Sadhu, Samata, not relevant for this. Okay. Arundhati Tayapesha Vasishta Prishtutam Kruta. Arundhati has placed her husband behind. That is the question. Arundhati is ahead, Vasishta is behind. So I start. First we have to define what is ahead, what is behind. Everyone understands? Okay. So first I said, if you look at the sky, I know what is ahead, what is behind, because there is a movement. Again, if I am facing in Pune, the north direction, and I want to fix my pole star, so you know what to do. So I know my pole star. And at night I keep on watching, you know what's going to happen? In the northeast, the stars starts coming up, they go anti-clockwise, and in the northwest they set, going around the pole star. Everyone with me? That's what you see. So when I see the Saptashis come up, and I may look through the binocular telescope or just naked eye if I have a 20/20 sight, I see Vasishta ahead, Arundhati behind. That's one possibility. The second possibility is like east may be ahead, west may be ahead, north may be ahead, south may be ahead. You follow? So I try to consider all those possibilities. What happens? What happens? I'll tell you simply what happens. If I consider in the east-west direction, okay, just like that, like literally by proper motion, like Arundhati going ahead, the other side of Vasishta, I found this will happen 2 lakhs years, 200,000 years in the future. Mahabharata did not happen in future, so that's off. In the north-south direction, I looked at it. If I want to take this Arundhati Vasishta at the same level as each other, like equilibrium, I have to go back 20,000 years. Now that would be a possibility. The problem is, it is so slow that how am I going to say when exactly it went ahead? Because just to see the ahead, I need to go another 10,000. So it's not like a very small time period. So that's not a possibility. So I just gave it up. Then I started looking at different softwares. Actually, some old softwares actually gave me the answer. Everyone understands resolution, like how fine you do it. So some old DOS-based softwares actually gave me the answer. But the resolution of those softwares, this is like late 90s. The software was so poor that, I showed this curve. Glad my troll has created the curve. This one. Okay. This curve or this curve. Just focus on a blue curve. For a simple way, if the curve is below the x-axis, Arundhati is ahead of Vashishtha. Can you see that? But what happened is, now this is with the Voyager 2009. But the softwares I was using in say late 90s or early 2000, the resolution was so bad that do you know what would happen? Because resolution is poor. Everyone understands? Yes. So because of the poor resolution, the line never went below the x-axis. So I have no way of saying that it has gone negative. Therefore, I had to wait for 2009. Then in the meantime, I said, okay, what if I do in the right ascension direction, declination direction? So I was playing all along. Just that. Next question, please.
I am assuming that these observations were made in the night.
Made at night, right? Yes. 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 That's correct. Yeah. I like such simple questions.
It is kind of.
I have two questions. Actually, एक question मेरी daughter का है कि आप इतना research करते हैं तो what do you do for a living? How do you earn your living?
Yes. So just so that you know, thank you. That's a good question. Like the story of my books being published in India is very interesting. I just posted recently on the Twitter, if you follow that. So this is about 2018. I had published these books on Amazon, like in America. But Subbu, meaning Ritvik Subramania from Hubli, you know. So I didn't know what his name was, but literally on a Facebook message, he just wrote, "Sir, your books are very costly in India because they were being printed in America, the $15, whatever, plus shipping cost. It was coming some huge, I don't know what he said, like sometime 8,000 rupees or something, you know, I didn't even know that. This is, they are coming very costly here. Can I publish them?" I don't know who this guy was. I said, "Yes, you can." And then he said, "What are your expectations?" Now, in a business speak, you know what it means? Like, what are your royalty consideration? I said, please, my expectation is that please take this book to every household, every college, every library in India. That is my expectation. I still have those messages in Facebook, that message. He said, "Sir, done." Then I said, "What do you need from me?" He said, "Send me Word files, send me PDF files, send me PowerPoint files." This is a discussion around September 2018. In 1 month, he put the book together, like at the end that I showed you. Anyways, it will come. But this is a great story about it. Here. Sorry, one more. This book, when did the Mahabharata war happen? This is in October, and for some reason, on a conference, I happened to meet in February of the next year, 2019. In between, the next month in November, he published my other book, 12,209. And then in the next month, by February, by January, he published Bhishma. By the time I met him in February in New Delhi, just using WhatsApp, of course he has a publishing experience. Like if you know Karnataka Sahitya Bhandar, like all the books of Bhairappa, K.S. Narayana are published by Sahitya Bhandar, the original books. He had sold 10,000 copies each or more of all my books in that 3-4 months. And so when he asked me what is my expectation, so my expectation, I told him, take it to everywhere. And so basically I had no expectations for the royalties. So to this day, I have not taken a single penny from this. And just, I don't have that slide, he has now sold more than 300,000 books to 1 lakh, meaning 100,000 unique mailing addresses in India. So still I have not answered the question. Right? What do I do? My background is Bachelor in Chemical Engineering, Masters in Chemical Engineering, Executive MBA, etc., etc. I work for General Electric and few other companies in caretaker's pant, so I don't need any trousers. Okay, the t-shirt that I'm wearing, what is that, Zudio or something?
I've seen the same t-shirt in a lot of videos.
That's why she asked, she's worried. Okay, so this is a shirt. How many of you have seen Prachan's 42-minute documentary dating the Mahabharata? Now it is behind the wall, like they decided for whatever reason to put behind the wall. It's not big deal, 189 rupees or something, and you can watch it. For 1 month you can watch it, show everyone. But this t-shirt is bought at a Zudio in Varanasi when we were doing the video shooting of that documentary. My cost is almost nothing. Okay? Now the point is I saved the money. 2013, I left my full-time job to write the second book, The Historic Ground. My simple method was, I have sufficient money for 5 years to pay for everything, mortgage, everything, healthcare, kids' education. 5 years is a lot of time. I will figure out what to do after that. I left the job. 6 months in 2013, I wrote The Historic Ground. I enjoyed my unemployment so much, I never went back to the full-time job. Okay? Now, still, where is the money? I continued to do the consulting work for the next 10 years just as a single person. People ask me what kind of consulting. If you are a one man, beggars cannot be choosy. Any kind of consulting. As long as I get my money, many times I earn all my money I made for 1 year within 4 to 5 months in a year. And next 7-8 months, I just researched and went around and gave a talks on YouTube or otherwise. Still, my question is, how do you manage it? Well, I saved some of the money. I reduced my needs for what we need. Waited until the kids grew and my son started working. My daughter is in the last year of undergrad years. Money is sufficient there for her to complete the education. And now I just go around and I have sufficient money to have the moong dal rice khichdi and buttermilk and mango pickle. And that works fine, and I'm having the blast of my life. Now when I tell people, actually just like what you ask, usually they will ask in a general group. Now Marathi people will know this, Pula Deshpande and Antu Karwa. Okay, so he goes there and somebody introduces him saying he's a great author. The person there who is listening to this, he says, what do you do? So the same thing happens. People actually ask me, like what you ask me, like common thing, say what do you do? And I actually give the true answer. But nobody believes. I say I don't do anything. He says, come on. And that's what happens. I'm actually researching on it. And it was a very conscious decision on my part. My wife also supported me. You know how? When I left the job, she said, if you don't do the job, I will also not do the job. Okay, so we're just having a blast. We are roaming around. We definitely have savings that takes care of us.
Very inspirational, and thank you for doing that, because after I saw your first video, the Sutrika's actress, I think my मेरी श्रद्धा intensify हो गई. मतलब I believed and I felt कि wow, I am so proud of this. So thank you. But आप Mahabharata Ramayana, you've been talking so much about Ramayana and Mahabharata. What do you have to say on the Ramayana and the Uttar Ramayana bit?
Uttarakhand.
Uttarakhand, and is it correct? Is it not correct?
Great question, by the way. And if you have more, you can stay there. Uttarakhand, you might have heard. Uttarakhand is like a Prakshipta. Have you heard that? Okay? No, Prakshipta means interpolated. Well, Uttarakhand is definitely written as an appendix. Just like Mahabharata also has an appendix. It's called Khila Parva. Appendix, Sanskrit word is a Khila Parva, which is Harivamsha. But what does that mean? That happens all the time. Like you write something and after you say, oh, oops, I want to also say about it, you might put as appendix 1, appendix 2. That doesn't make it interpolated. Let me tell you about the Uttarakhand, the question you asked. All the astronomy references of Uttarakhand, okay, there are 600 references, they include from Uttarakhand. They also beautifully aligns to 13th millennium BC, 12,209 BC. In fact, because many people do not understand astronomy, they may understand Sanskrit, but they don't understand astronomy. Many commentators, you can go to IIT Kharagpur site. You know that there is a Ramayana, Ramayana Kharagpur site. There are these different commentaries in Sanskrit, their translation in English, and read those. Their commentaries, making those comments, they have gone haywire. And do you know why they have gone haywire? Because they don't understand astronomy. Now I don't have time to go into that, but the answer to your question is, it's not interpolated, it's very, very consistent. But now you will have a couple of questions on that. Go ahead. Some questions about Uttarakhand. Typical, you know those questions? 2 questions on Uttarakhand. People have a problem with.
Yeah, one is that they say that since Ram loved Sita so much.
So why did he let her go? And second question, Shudraka. Like Rama killed Shudraka and something like this, right? Those are the 2 questions. Let's take Shudraka. We don't know the details other than that Shudraka was killed by Rama or something because he did something. You know, you can read the details. Just go back to I'll just use our great dear Prime Minister Modi ji to answer both questions. Good? Okay. So the second one, when Modi ji became a Prime Minister in 2014, when he came on board there, let's say, there are a lot of prisoners in Tihar jail or around the India. Some of them basically given the punishment of a hanging, you know, hanging until death or something. Now that particular thing was carried out. Now the leftist journalists will start saying Modi did it or something like this. What does Modi ji has to do with it? It is just the law taking its course or something like this. Shudraka, we don't know the details, but it can be understood like this. Rama also has to deliver a justice, whatever it is. Now the first one, if Rama loves Sita so much, why did he let her go? You have to understand the Ikshvaku dynasty. You may not like that idea, but it is Ikshvaku dynasty. Like some of the things you say, Modi ji should say this and Modi ji should say that. You as a free person and non-prime minister, you can say it. But Modi ji has some restrictions, what he can say and what he can do and what he cannot do. So, what happens is, now take Modi ji's example. He was not prime minister then, but long time ago, okay, as a RSS Swayamsevak, at some point he did marry. You know that? It came into the election, Yashoda Ben. Now they married, then he went on the RSS work. 1 year he came back and he talked to her and he said, yeah, I made a mistake, Vikalpa, but I don't think the marriage is for me. And whatever the discussion, fight, or we don't know what it is, it's between them. Just like what Rama and Sita discussed, we don't know that. Happened, and as a result, he walked away from his marriage. Everyone knows that. Now, when we today look at his Modi ji's performance of last 10, 12 years or something. Now, if you want to talk about it, hey, be my guest. Talk as long as you want. His marriage to Yashoda Ben and what happened. I don't want to. They are happy. I want to talk about how the administration and how did he transform India. He is doing his Raja Dharma. There is of course a Pati Dharma, but there is also Raja Dharma. Now come to Bhagwan Rama. Of course he has a Pati Dharma. He followed in a certain way, right or wrong. You are absolutely okay to criticize him. But as a Raja Dharma, what is the Ikshvaku? The Ikshvaku word is Raghukula Rita Sada Chariyaye Prana Jaye Pravachana Jaye. So even so one person comes and complains, he said, hey, I don't want this blemish. I am taking care of it. In fact, he has done that Agni Pravesh, Agni Pariksha before. So actually he could give this proof. He can give the proof to the people. Say, look, that happened in Lanka. But the trolls are there even in those times. They will say, I was not there in Lanka. I don't know. So something like this basically he did it. So that is between them. So if Sita is complaining, she has a right to. I don't think any one of us has a right to complain about it. Thank you.
How did you get connected to genetic dating?
Okay, how did I connect in what sense?
This relation.
How did I find the paper?
Yeah. How did you find the paper? How did you think of this?
Good. So remember P1, TTE, P2. So that P2 you start asking the question. I just showed you 2 questions. Like Krishna's Dwarka, is there evidence for it? Or the other question I ask is, if suddenly 40 lakhs people died suddenly in a span of 18 days, could this have any effect on the future population? Could this have any effect on future generations? And is there a way to measure it? So I just asked the question and sat there like a fishing, you put it there. Oh, some moment there, fish is there. A paper showed up in 2015. I did that. I'll tell you another paper. This is Hemphill and Kennedy from University, Cornell University, one of the Ivy League university. Why am I telling this? So that you will trust it. Hemphill and Kennedy, okay? Not Indian names. This is an old paper. They have shown the data in Indian context called physical anthropology. Do you know what they have shown? If you go back, there are two gaps in the physical appearance. This is known as a cranial, meaning this, and non-cranial evidence. Like you literally look at the dead bodies and measure their different measurements and then make comparisons. In the Indian context, let's say in the last 10,000 years of the data, there are only two discontinuities. The second discontinuity, which is not relevant, is between 800 BC and 200 BC. Nobody is saying Mahabharata happened there, just put it there. The second discontinuity is between, listen carefully, 6000 BC and 4500 BC. So generally our typical human beings, the Indian human beings, if there is any distinct discontinuity, physical anthropological features or something, it is found between 6000 BC and 4500 BC. There is another piece of evidence that I did not discuss here today. And 5561 BC is right in the middle. Now this discontinuity does not prove Mahabharata, this does not prove 5561 BC, but I already got 5561 BC. Now this acts as a corroborative evidence in support of it. Okay? Next. So I showed like two different disciplines besides astronomy, but I have like anywhere like 12, to 20 different disciplines of science. There is a data and that can be connected like this to the dating of Mahabharata.
My name is Ramu. This is more of a music than a question.
Mine.
Come here. Good. Yeah.
More of a music than a question regarding Arundhati walking ahead of Vashishtha. So, if that has been happening since 11,000 BC,
Yes.
and it has been the norm for 6,000 years before
Right.
that, why would Vyasaji think of calling that out as a bad omen? Why?
Okay. So everyone understood? So if this is happening for 5,000 years, why does Vyasa uses something that's happening for 5,000 years at the time of Mahabharata and puts that into the Mahabharata text? And he also used the word bad omen. Okay? First thing, it is not said that it is bad. There is no word bad. The omen is a translation of the Sanskrit word that is used in Mahabharata. The word is nimitta. Now nimitta, one of the translation of it is omen, but that is only one of the many translations. It means signs, it means marker, it means mark, it means indication. Okay? Now if somebody says, no, I want to take its meaning as a omen, be my guest. Now you explain to me why Vyasa is using it as a omen, something that is happening for 5,000 years, why suddenly is happening there. He's asking a question on behalf of many other people who have turned this into utter nonsense. And they say, omen, why it is happening for a long time. But you know what? There is some other absolutely great individual has given an answer to this. And I don't have to answer that. Only, not you. You are asking on behalf of many others who are asking this question for 15 years. How many of you have read Gnaneshwari? You are Marathi? No. Okay. So you can read the translation of it. Okay, note down this number. How many of you have read Gnaneshwari? Nobody. How many of you have heard of Gnaneshwari? Okay. If you go to Gnaneshwari, 18th chapter, okay, and OV, because his commentary, OV number 114, write it down, okay, 18.114, and with these days with a growth, you can just say, hey, what is Gnaneshwara saying in his Gnaneshwari in the OV number 18.112 to 116? Do that afterwards. He says, Now to your answer, your question, you like how Dhaneshwar answered 800 years before me. So Dhaneshwar Maharaj knew there would be trolls of Nileshok 800 years after, and he took care to answer that question. Do you know what he says? How Nitya becomes Nimitta. In a simple way, I'm going to explain it. Dhaneshwar will explain those verses 18 point about 12 to say 1116. Suppose this clock here. This clock is running all the time. That's a Nitya. It's showing time all the time, like our wristwatch. But are you looking at that clock all the time? No. When do you look at the clock? Suppose you have to leave for the airport, or you have to go to bed, or you get up in the morning and now you must leave for the office. Which means in a certain context, you look at that Nitya thing that is going on and you say, 7:10. So you make use of it because you need to make use of it. In Mahabharata, basically Vyasa is saying to Dhritarashtra, you are not listening to me. Time is the ultimate level filter. Everyone is going to die and so on and so forth. But don't worry. I am going to preserve the history of the Kuru dynasty. And I am going to do it. And to do this, he has to make the markers of time. He has to write down the description of what happened. And in the Indian astronomy, it is a well-known thing. Astronomy is time. Vyasa knows it. Valmiki knows it. Kalidasa knows it. Nileshok knows it. Nileshok's trolls do not know it. That is the answer. So Dhaneshwari 18.112, 116. Okay.
Hi, my name is Rishi. So actually, as you said, I also am a hobbyist of sorts. I spend 5 minutes every day to look at what our history is like, not just our history, generally global history. And one question I have, which is probably two-pronged. So I will ask the first question and then I'll give a follow-up question. So first question that we generally come to is the cradle of civilization based on the genetic data and the migration, human migration and their dating.
Just ask the question.
Yeah. So what I felt is from the dating of the genetic migration towards the Indian subcontinent, towards actual observed evidences, it felt there was a significant time gap in between, which we don't have any, which I felt I did not find any good archaeological stories which helped me understand how a nomadic tribe went on to build empires. Do we have anything to support such stories?
No. Okay. So reformulate your question. Like, what is so nomad? See, you are making so many assumptions, but you can put that assumptions. What is it? So whatever I said here, what is not making
Is
sense?
the riddle of human history starting and the migration actually factually correct?
Which migrations?
The migration of Homo sapiens from African continent and them spreading
Okay.
towards Central
Okay.
Asia.
Thank you. I got it. Okay. Let me see. I happen to have a graph. Now you see all this my answering throws and everything. No, thank God. It's not there. Okay. Let's see. I may have a graph here. It may be your lucky day. Let's see. See, this is like where is Krishna's Vrindavan and all that. So this is how the research goes in the background. Okay. Let's say if you are lucky today. Okay. See, you have to invite me again. There is one graph, now I don't think I'm going to find it. This is a paper written by two Danish geneticists. Who asked the question? Two geneticists. I have a paper. If you look at my other descriptions, you'll find it. Danish authors, written in 2020, and you can even Google it. The title of it goes like this. That will answer your question. Homo erectus left Africa came back as Homo sapiens. Okay? And if you see the chart in their paper, what you're going to find, make it a bigger India, like not just today's India, but include Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Uzbekistan, because that's Uttara, Madhya, Tibet and all that area. You find the red line coming from Africa to India, and then all the lines, genetic lines going out of India. That's the answer. 2020 papers. If you type like Homo erectus left Africa, came back as Homo sapiens, you will get that paper. Okay, thank you. Everyone understood the question and answer?
We'll probably take a couple of questions more.
Hello. We kept hearing that, I heard all the time is like Ramayana was written before it happened.
No.
So how do we then, if it is true, then how many years earlier it was written? How did he thought of that?
Okay. He asked many questions. I don't have to answer all of them. Ramayana was not written before and then it happened. Although that you might have heard for a different reasons, I'm not going to that. It will take a long time. Actually, it doesn't. Just trust me, it wasn't that way. Read Valmiki Ramayana, you will know it. Okay? Now it's not like Valmiki Ramayana is written. If it was, and then now it is happening, just like a movie, Katha, Patakatha, Samvad. Every time Ram is looking, what do I do now? That's yours. But sometimes people actually say like this as if it has happened. No. Sometimes it happens because the way they construct. Like in a Hindi movie, don't you show a flashback? It's something like this. The one time they are sitting, actually even that confusion should not be there. This is the kind of stupid confusion created by Indologists from outside and inside to confuse us, and we just swallow this with the, what is that, bait, rope and a sinker.
Hook, line and sinker.
Huh?
Hook, line and
Hook, line and sinker, thank you. Hook, line and sinker, we just swallow it. We have to increase our intelligence. Shraddha is great, but that doesn't cut it. Patanjali says start with the Shraddha, don't stop there. Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvata, Vikaresham. Start with Shraddha, don't stop there. Do Tapasya, that's Virya. Smriti, do the voracious reading and build your background knowledge of everything. Samadhi, focus on one subject. I'm just taking you as an example. If it's so important to you, get to the bottom of it, just like I did for Arundhati and Vashishtha. Do not expect that somebody else will do it. For other person, it is priority number 83. If it is for you, number 1, 2, go after it. If for somebody is 83, do you know what 83 priority means? It will never be done. Okay, so that's the answer. There's nothing like that. Last question. Thank you.
Last question, please.
Thank you. So, 15 years, 20 years is a very long time to pursue something. So, you mentioned you got initially interested in your graduation. But can you expound on that? And
What is the question?
You initially got interested in this topic sometime while reading Lokman Tilak in your graduation. But little more detail on that and what kept you going for all these years? This
Good. Good. So what got me interested is like even not 1994 with this show. I'm interested in many things. We are only talking about Mahabharata Ramayana is because those are some of the areas where I became successful. Right? If I mean lots of areas I did. I mean I can give you a long list. But the other question was what made me stay through it? Like the tenacity, perseverance and whatnot. The answer is Shraddha. Okay? I said what it could be that why would Vyasa write something that is impossible in the very order of nature? There has to be some logic to it. And I just stayed through it. Thank you.
Last question.
This is truly a last question. And by the way, one more, okay, two more. But I will request after that, I mean, I don't know how the time is, but when you meet me again, this happens every time, you won't be exception, but let's be an exception. Once those two questions are done, when you meet me, do not, I have just a quick question. There is no quick question, there is no quick answer. Okay, thank you.
So today my son was here, he just and went after the session. So his question was like, is it difficult to have a research in India because you're doing all of this work so many years out of India, outside India?
is it difficult to do this kind of research in India because I did this in America and Canada and so on? Not really. Of course, I would say now it's not that difficult because of the internet and stuff like that. You can do it. But those times, actually, I will tell and I will agree with you that the fact that, just a coincidence maybe, but the fact that I was in Canada and America.
Not only you, there are so many, you mentioned so many people,
Yeah.
and they all are outside.
No, they are not.
Most of them.
No, that's not true. No, I'm going to give you the list of it. But for me, I found it was easy for me that I was outside. Like, you know, the libraries are super rich. There is this Bori edition, Baroda edition, or critical edition, very easy to access books and things. Clean air, no noise, you know, so that was all helpful. Now that's not such an issue because of the internet and so on. Now the other people who have done some great research, are they outside? No, not surprising. Anil Narayanan is outside from Kerala. We work together. But another great researcher who works with me, Rupa Vadi, she's in Gujarat. She's an architect. She does who asked that, what do you do for a living? She actually does her job as an architect and also researches. And that's what I did until last year. I was also working and doing the research. All the research is when I was working. Srikanth Talageri, most of you would have heard. He was a banker right here in Mumbai. He did that. And Jivan Rao, he's a computer scientist in Bengaluru. Who? Yadnadeva is in Houston. Okay? Yeah, but you will find folks doing it. Last question.
Sir, I want to talk about the Ramayana thing where Hanumanji is going to Lanka, and it's mentioned that the entire thing, Vanaras are mentioning that I have this much strength, I have to go 100 yojans or so. What is, like, how did they go actually? And there is one of your good friend, I think Yashodi Devdas, who is doing research on that. He mentioned once that there are swimming strokes of Hanumanji mentioned in the Ramayana. So what is your take on it?
Okay. So the question is, like Hanuman, like, you know, these Vanaras are talking, can they fly? And how far they can fly? And when the discussion is happening in the southern party, they say Angada says I can fly 50 yojanas. Another person says I can fly 80 yojanas. I can fly 20 yojanas. Finally, Hanuman is not saying anything, and then Hanuman ended up going there. But then when he starts going, Yashodip, how many of you heard Yashodip Devdar? Some of you. 21 notes. So YouTube channel 21 notes. Again, another guy, just crazy guy like me, IIT, Mumbai Electrical, IIM Ahmedabad, and then business in Bengaluru, sold the business and doing Valmiki Ramayana. He also eats khichdi. Okay. So for example, he has done it. So he has described it when Hanuman is going, part of it he swam. Okay? But not just Yashodip Devdar. Dr. Padmakar Vishnu Vartak many years ago has also said similar things. My take on it is this. All three agree. I don't know if Yashodip agrees. He's my good friend and we work on this. But Vartak and me agree that when coming back, he definitely flew. But while going to Lanka, he might have swam. And one of the reasons is, and he might have partly flew and then swam. Because he's going there as a secret mission. Like Ravana is powerful. He doesn't want to go, hey, I am coming, anything like this. So he might have swam because of it. But he definitely had a flying ability because he had to use it. And then he used it during the war also. And he cannot swim on land.
Thank you for all for being here. We would like to give a special aabhar for Dr. O.
सर्वेभ्यः नमो नमः। कार्यक्रमस्य अन्तिमं चरणं नाम ऋणनिर्देशनम्। वस्तुतः रामायणं महाभारतं वयं जानीमः, किन्तु ऐतिहासिकदृष्ट्या ये अस्माकं पाठितवन्तः ते माननीय नीलेश महोदयान् MVG पक्षतः नैके धन्यवादान् व्याहरामि। कार्यक्रमस्य प्रमुख अतिथि माननीय यशोधर जोशी महोदयः, यैः वयम् एतस्य सत्रस्य नियोजनं कृतवन्तः, अतः MVG पक्षतः तस्यापि धन्यवादान् व्याहरामि। कार्यक्रमे अंजलि वैशंपायन तथा च दीपक वैशंपायन महोदयानाम् अपि भूरि भूरि धन्यवादाः। अनन्तरं वयं सर्वे श्रोतारः ये कार्यक्रमस्य शोभां वर्धितवन्तः, तैः सर्वे श्रोतारान् अपि भूरि भूरि धन्यवादान् व्याहरामि इति उक्त्वा मम सम्भाषणं समापयामि। धन्यवादः। शुभसायम्।
Let me tell you how much goes on in the background just to pull one event like this. Many of you locally would have heard, but I want to especially thank Anjali Vaishnavi. She may remember how long we were talking, trying to figure out the date, and finally, because of her efforts, it happened.